Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer live pop-up chat, and in this video we are going to be talking about a few stories of the day. The main one being the Queen has given her express permission for our Prime Minister of the UK, Boris Johnson, to use the Buckingham Palace facilities to recover and to exercise. Now, you may know or you may not know, but our Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, did actually contract COVID-19 a couple of months ago, and he took a period off work and then a period of where he could relax and try and get back to health. He spent at least 2 weeks at the Prime Minister's official country residence of Chequers. And the camera is falling down. Let's reset that. So he spent 2 weeks at Chequers, and then he returned back to public duty. And some people noticed, obviously, that he was still recovering from that. And exercise is one of those ways that you can do that to rebuild your stamina and your endurance. However, over the last few days, he was photographed exercising in the grounds of Lambeth Palace. And those pictures were put out there on the tabloids because he does like to go for a jog. Now, obviously that poses a security risk and also an issue of privacy when somebody is recovering from that kind of illness. You kind of want to be a little bit private. So the Buckingham Palace has amazing facilities. It has, acres of gardens of which you can use for jogging. But Buckingham Palace also has a swimming pool, and members of the royal family often do swim there. You can kind of book slots. I think Princess Anne likes to swim there. Diana, back in her day, used to get driven to the palace to swim in the swimming pool. But also staff in recent years have been allowed to use it, as long as obviously that doesn't clash with any royals that are using it. So I imagine Boris Johnson has also been given use of the pool, because obviously people are talking very, very much about jogging, which I'm sure he is doing a lot of jogging, but also what may have been overlooked is the usage of the pool as well. So I imagine he's very, very much using that. Right, as always, this is a live chat, so I'm going to go to the chat room to see who is here. And obviously, if you do have any questions for me today, please do put them to me. I plan to stay online for about 10 minutes. There are a few other stories that I want to talk about as well. B says, that's very kind of the Queen. It is indeed. And I think she appreciates the fact that he does need to exercise in private. She has weekly telephone meetings with the Prime Minister. Even though she can't meet face to face, she has been doing weekly conversations over the phone. So she's being kept abreast, and I'm sure he may have been talking to her about his recovery. I'm sure she would have asked how he has been recovering. How many people live at Buckingham Palace? Well, it's hard to say. I mean, it has hundreds and hundreds of rooms. There are only, official apartments for the royals. In fact, actually, I think the Duke of York, Princess Anne, maybe the Earl and Countess of Wessex have rooms at the front of the palace. However, because the palace is being renovated, I think the Duke of York and Princess Anne and the Earl and Countess of Wessex have actually moved out for the time whilst it's all being renovated. But mostly, the most people that live at the palace are actually the staff. There is a lot of, as you can imagine, staff accommodation needed. So a lot of it is staff. And also for official use as well. Whenever there is, an overseas visit or a state banquet, Buckingham Palace often hosts those. So there has to be rooms kept available for them. Jan says there's going to be no jogging in California because it's going to be 100. Wow. Wow. That is hot going on there. Denise says good use of the resources available. Well, I think so. I mean, why not? Usually now Buckingham Palace would be open. It would be open season, and there would be tourists going to the palace. And obviously, now that is not going to happen. Oh, by the way, there has been lots of talk about palace finances, and it's kind of been a little bit misconstrued. The Queen is not actually losing money from COVID-19. This does not affect the money that she receives from the Crown Estates. It doesn't affect the sovereign grant. It doesn't affect any type of money from the Duchy of Lancaster yet. What is actually going to not receive the money is the Royal Collection Trust. Since obviously the fire at Windsor Castle in 1993, the Queen agreed to pay tax, but also she took the step to open up the royal residences when the Queen is not there, typically during the summer, to fund the restoration of Windsor Castle. Once those funds had been raised and Windsor Castle was fully financed, and those revenues went back into the Royal Collection Trust. Now, the Royal Collection Trust is held in name by the Queen on behalf of the nation. So what is going to lose out is actually the Royal Collection Trust, because those funds, those valuable funds, are not going to be made this year. But the Queen herself is not going to be affected in terms of what she receives to fund the monarchy. It will be the Royal Collection Trust which is not getting the money, which is still a big loss, but that will more than likely bounce back next year. Yes, staff is reduced right now. A lot of staff... Oh yeah, there was a lot of talk as well about the Queen having to lay off staff. That is not technically completely accurate. What actually happened is there is an increase in temporary staff during the summer season. So people that would show guests around, people that would work in the cafes, people that may have been hired for extra cleaning, maintenance work, garden work, that kind of thing. Those people, I think, had contracts leading up to the summer season, but those contracts were, I think, cut short. But the people weren't technically dismissed because they hadn't actually started the summer season job. So if you know what I mean, normal staff has not been, I don't think, furloughed and affected, but staff, temporary staff that would have been brought in to help with the summer season, they can no longer obviously fulfill their roles. So I think their contracts were terminated, but they hadn't actually started the role, if you know what I mean. So there's been quite a few misleading stories out there going around in the tabloids right now. B says, let's hope so, God save the Queen. Do excuse me. That is pollen. I haven't got the nasty. That is pollen going through the air. Hay fever. I could feel it tickling my nose. I was like, tickle, tickle. Right, so there we go. And leading on from the summer season, Buckingham Palace, the royal family, have tweeted today that today would have actually been the third garden party of the season at Buckingham Palace, and of course the last one. There are 3 at Buckingham Palace, and then there is one during Royal Week at the Palace of Holyrood House in Scotland. So today would have been the 3rd at Buckingham Palace, and they share a picture of Queen Victoria, an old picture of Queen Victoria, and they say the first garden parties were held during the reign of Queen Victoria. Did you know that they used to be called breakfasts, even though they were held in the afternoon? And I have a picture to show you of that. So there we have, if you can just make out Queen Victoria in the carriage. Let me just see where she is. She's kind of... She is... Oh, she's she's a very, very small figure over here. But there we go. That is Queen Victoria in one of the first Buckingham Palace breakfasts that used to take place. And of course, they have grown to 3 in the palace a year and 1 at the Palace of Holyrood House. Right, I'm just going up because just literally... Oh yeah, Clarence House. Yes, Clarence House have tweeted that Camilla has been taking part in a reading of James and the Giant Peach episode. So I have linked to that in the community page, so do go and take a look at that. I mean, I think they're on something like episode 6 now, and they're still going, but Camilla is taking part of, I think, one of the people on the ship. So she is in the current episode, which I have linked to. Right, let's go and see what people, of course, are saying at the moment. Yes, many people are going to be out of their summer jobs. Summer jobs, I think, most definitely will be affected. In particular, in hospitality, hotels, bar work, that kind of thing. Seasonal work most definitely is affected. Denise says, I only had one opportunity to visit Buckingham Palace, but it was hosting a state visit for the President of Mexico, so no tours. Wow. That would have been really, really cool, though. Do I know what year that was? I'm afraid I don't, but it looks like the latter part of the Queen's reign because she's in the carriage being driven around. So I would imagine the late 1800s, possibly even 1900. Thank you to Sue for your comment. Right, how are we doing for time? I think we are most definitely okay for time. Also, I should like to say that the story about Boris Johnson using the Buckingham Palace facilities was confirmed by his sister, Rachel Johnson, who is appearing for a talk on Good Morning Britain this morning. So there we go. That was actually, that story has been corroborated by Boris Johnson's sister. Okay, so, oh, hang on. I see a comment coming in, a question. I was about to go. Raynette says, do you have a favourite royal event? Do you mean a favourite royal event that takes place during the year? Yes, I think it has to be the Queen's Birthday Parade, Trooping the Colour, which unfortunately will not go ahead. Another one that's my favourite, which isn't necessarily a royal event, but the royals do attend, is the Chelsea Flower Show. That's been and gone now. It didn't take place. We had a virtual Chelsea Flower Show. They did cobble together a kind of best bits programme throughout the week. But I do love seeing the Queen in particular at the Chelsea Flower Show. And of course I enjoyed last year with the Duchess of Cambridge's Back to Nature Garden. That was really amazing. I also like Ascot, Royal Ascot Week, where we get to see all the royals in the carriages. That's also a really, really good one. So yeah, those are some of the events that I have really, really missed. Yes, the Chelsea Flower Show and Royal Ascot, indeed. Do let me know in the comments which royal events of the summer that you have missed. And of course, all the garden parties. I've really, really missed seeing the royals out at the garden parties in their top hats. The men in their top hats and the ladies in their beautiful day summer dresses, day attire. I've missed it all. So yeah. Oh yeah, and state banquets and dinners and visits are off the agenda, most definitely, for the time being. We probably won't see a state visit this year. They may provisionally be scheduling and penciling a couple in for next year to kind of catch up, but that is unconfirmed. We do not know, who or what, but any visit would definitely be postponed. I don't think any are taking place this year. Next year, tentatively. I mean, there's still obviously talk in the press about the Queen never being able to return back to public duties. I don't think that's the case. I think the Queen will eventually return to public duties, but it may not be. Definitely not this year, I do not think. Right, I'm going to go now. So thank you so much for watching this video and of course these updates. If you have enjoyed it and found it useful, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to leave a comment. Also check out the link in the description box below. Right, so from me in Shropshire, also subscribe and also stay safe. So from me in Shropshire, mwah, to you all and goodbye.